Alrighty, hello, welcome. So this is going to be a little bit different from my usual devlogs. Today we're going to be exploring Starship Sprout in real time, like a normal Let's Play type video, because I have basically finished the game, and I want to show off the actual gameplay, how it all works, and I thought it'd be much nicer to do that directly rather than taking you guys through some pre-recorded clips of me editing code or implementing placeholder images. Okay, so before we get into this, I want to show you the gameplay trailer. So here it is. Okay, now let's start a new game of Starship Sprout. Okay, I will take us through the story. Destroyed by corporate greed, overpopulation, and a disregard for the environment, Earth is a wasteland devoid of nearly all plant life. As resources began to dwindle, the world's top minds put their heads together to find a solution. Much headbutting ensued, and little was achieved. That was until the president of the World Alliance of Technocrats, Twats, stumbled across a relic from the 21st century, a VHS tape of Dog the Bounty Hunter. This got him thinking, what if we employed a group of space mercenaries privately contracted to collect intergalactic plant life, much like how Dog is privately contracted to capture criminals? It was the perfect solution for an Earth ruled by technocrats and corporations. Outsource the work to someone else. These space mercenaries took to the stars in search of alien plant life, sending their findings back to Earth. They quickly became known as the Botany Hunters. To encourage competition and increase the amount of plant life sent back to Earth, the Botany Hunter leaderboard was established. While some Botany Hunters found renown and riches, quickly climbing the leaderboard, others found themselves at the bottom of the pile. Captain Brussels of the Starship Sprout took up the Twats charter with great zeal, only he quickly discovered botany hunting to be a hairy profession. Tired of losing out to better hunters, Captain Brussels is putting everything he's got into climbing the leaderboard and becoming the greatest botany hunter in history. You are Captain Brussels of the Starship Sprout. Now, you can skip this intro. Of course, it's text-based, so I have added the option to skip it. And as a roguelike where death is permanent, players are going to want to do multiple runs of this, so nobody's going to want to sit through this each time. So it's really optional, and of course there's not really any huge amount of flair here. I thought I'd keep it super simple instead of doing animations poorly. Okay, so here we are going through space. You can hear the lovely serene space atmosphere, and it's a nice contrast to the music that plays on planets and the chaos that ensues when we collect plants. It's particularly satisfying when collecting plants, the confetti and the pop noises, of course, and also I'm particularly proud of the multiplier effect, as you just saw there, along with the compliments that appear. Now, you may also notice that the wallet went up, and every 5 plants that you collect you get a little cash reward. Okay, we also have encountered pretty quickly our first collectible item. Now, generally these are much rarer. You don't tend to encounter them so quickly. That's actually quite uncommon for that to happen. So let's collect it. So you get a nice little space star rush effect, let's call it. And you can see all the collectibles that you've already collected in the collectible menu. There is a total of 15. Okay, so I need to use some oxygen before I die. So what do I need to level up? We need 10 fuel plants. I have 9, so let's offload those and return to our adventures in space. Back to the contrasting piece. Okay, here we go. Let's collect. Let's go nuts. Let's get all of the plants. Okay. I was gonna try and get the multiplier up past 20, but I don't think. But that didn't happen. So here we are. Okay, so let's analyze some plants, and we have some more energy plants which we can now deliver. We need one. And rank up. So I will be adding some sound effects there. I want it to be more of a celebration when you rank up. Let's keep on top of our oxygen usage. Okay, so let's return to space and gather some more plants. We should also determine actually what we need. So we need 5 raw plants and 20 fuel plants. Let's go to another planet and continue to collect plants. So with the multiplier, obviously there are the complements, the plant pun-based complements that occur from, I think, the 4th plant onwards. Now when it gets to about 25, the puns start to disappear in place, or in return for me complaining a little bit about running out of ideas. There are only so many plant-based puns that a man can come up with. So it does run dry after a little while, but I still think the effect is particularly fun. Okay, so now we need some raw plants, and I think one more fuel plant. My fuel is getting low, so I will need to use some of these fuel plants. And this is an example of how players will have to manage their resources throughout the game, while you need to deliver plants to the computer to actually rank up and progress. You will also need to use those plants to make sure that you either don't die, i.e. through the oxygen plants, or to make sure that the Starship Sprout remains functional. So when you run out of fuel, you don't die, it's not game over, but the Starship Sprout becomes immobile. So you are left to drift through space until you hit a planet or a space station, or until you get bored and quit. Okay, so you will notice there that the oxygen level does deplete while you're in menus like computer, collectibles, or the guide. So you have to be conscious of that when collecting plants on planets. Okay, so we've got quite a few things in our inventory now. So I'd like to find a space station. Here we go. And talk you through that a little bit. So here we can sell some of our plants for cash and upgrade our ship, which is something that, you know, it's necessary to really complete the game. For example, when you get to about rank 8, you need hybrid plants. You can't get hybrid plants unless you have a plant crossbreeder installed on the ship, which you have to buy from space stations. At the moment, we do have a hybrid plant, but this is a bug in the game that I need to fix. Okay, so we have, in each space station, it's randomly generated, much like the planet, so they always appear slightly different. And there's always up to 4 alien NPCs. Each NPC you can interact with, you can click on them, they will make a noise, and they will say something. So boba tea is my favourite drink. And a lot of the dialogue that the aliens will say relates to collectibles, so where you can find collectibles, or what kind of collectibles you're looking for. Sometimes there's a few tips about how to, actually play the game, like then death is permanent. Okay, so this guy over here with the coin above his head is, of course, the shopkeeper. So let's click on him and let's sell some plants. Now, we don't need space trash. It doesn't do anything for us. It's just something that we can sell. So I'm going to sell some oxygen plants too, which you might think is the most valuable plant in this game. And it is pretty valuable. But while we're in space stations, oxygen replenishes. So it gives you a bit of a respite from space, from the resource management. So if your oxygen level's low and you encounter a space station, you can go in there, and then maybe you want to use some of your oxygen plants for leveling. Which, later down the game, you do have to deliver quite a few oxygen plants. It actually becomes quite difficult, and I am thinking of tweaking the difficulty. Anyway, with the money that I have just made from selling some plants, I can start to buy some upgrades. We have ship fuel upgrade, oxygen upgrade, which allows the player to use more of those plants. So the oxygen bar doubles in, well, it doesn't double in size. It increases along with the fuel bar, and you can just have a greater capacity. So you can play for longer without having to replenish your supplies. What I'm really interested in right now, though, is the space station teleport. So let's buy that. And you'll now see in my HUD, in my inventory, I have a station teleport item. So I'm going to show you how that works after I have replenished some of my fuel, because that's pretty damn low. Okay, so let's venture back into space. Okay, here we go. So collecting plants again. So with the space station teleport card, the idea is, when your resources are getting low, or you want to buy, some upgrades, and maybe you don't want to wait for a space station to spawn, you can use the space station teleport card to immediately teleport you to the space station. Before we do that, I'm going to get this collectible. I got a jam jar. How cool. Okay, so listen out for the really cool sound. Wow. It's so space. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the sound effect I've added there. I am going to add some, cool fade or wipe or something on screen, just to really add to the effect. But as you can see, we're now immediately transported back to a space station, and here is a good example of the oxygen replenishing itself. So now if I had more money, I might go and buy some upgrades, or I might sell some plants in order to gain some upgrades. What I'm going to do right now is use some of my raw plants, because I've got quite a few, and I'm going to go back to maybe leveling up a little bit. We don't have a lot of fuel plants, it's probably worth going to collect some more. Okay, here we go. One of the things I really am proud of is the soundtrack, especially the soundtrack on the planets and the type of stream music. But I also really like the contrast between the really jaunty planetary music and the space ambience. It's quite peaceful, I feel, and it's a nice contrast if you just wanted to float through space. Okay, let's upgrade that. Here we go. Okay, back into space, and there's that lovely peaceful contrast. So there are really two ways to play this game. One of them is quite frantically, like I am right now, because obviously I want to show you all of the features. So let's get some food plants. So you can take it really quickly, like I am, and maybe you want to rank up as quickly as possible. Maybe you want to do a speed run, or you can take it that little bit slower, where you maybe enjoy, the peace of floating through space, or the peace of, I say peace, the fun, the frantic fun of collecting plants. So I am just gonna sell my space trash, actually, because I don't need space trash. It doesn't do anything. Who wants to carry rubbish around with them? There we go. Okay. Of course, I can't afford anything at the moment. Times are tough. I am thinking of reducing the cost of the crossbreeder and the station teleport. The crossbreeder is essential for player progression, so I think that it's not unachievable at this level, and you do actually pretty quickly build cash. So, for example, with the multiplier, every 5 plants you collect, you earn some money. So you can build cash that way, or you can sell your plants. You can focus on selling the plants instead of delivering them, and then get the money, and then maybe start to upgrade your ship before you focus on leveling up. You also gain money when you find collectibles. I can't remember the exact amount I said. I think it's only 50 coins per collectible that you find. But I've tried to add lots of ways for players to earn cash without it being too easy. That's one of the initial problems I had, was that upgrading the ship was it was way too easy. You'd find collectibles and you'd get paid so much money, or you'd sell some plants and it would be worth way too much. So it became too easy. So what you are seeing now is how my inventory is starting to add up. I'm starting to get quite a lot of plants, oxygen plants, energy plants. I've got loads of space trash, which is annoying. And this happens quite quickly when your inventory builds up. There is an unlimited inventory, or there is actually a cap of, I think, 10,000 items, which is very unlikely anyone's going to get there. But by building your inventory up, it makes the game a little bit easier later on when you're asked to deliver, 75 plus oxygen plants and 45 fuel plants. So let's go here to replenish my oxygen. So yeah, that's kind of where the resource management and survival element of the game comes into play, where you need to think ahead on how are you going to rank up, how are you going to stay alive, and how are you going to upgrade your ship so that the game is not, punishingly difficult. While it's totally possible to complete the game without upgrading your fuel or oxygen, some collision errors there, I would definitely recommend upgrading. And you've got to think about the trade-offs. For example, I know that I don't need to deliver any oxygen plants for maybe 2 or 3 more levels, so I think it's probably worth selling my oxygen plants, so I can start thinking about upgrading my ship oxygen and fuel, which this obviously does mean I now don't have any oxygen plants in case it's running low. But as I'm in a space station, it really doesn't matter because my oxygen is increasing. Okay, let's see if we can get a oxygen upgrade in this video. Okay, so let's okay, so I zoned out a second then. I thought I heard my dog making some strange noises, but it wasn't. It was probably a child from the outside. Okay, you found a star. Cool, okay, I found a star. That's great. I feel like a star. Let's go and find some more plants. I'm going to have to use some oxygen plants. I'm probably going to have to use some fuel soon. Okay, so let's see if we can get to a space station before using any more oxygen plants. That'd be really good. So let's upgrade. Let's increase my fuel a little. Okay, oxygen is going low. Okay, there's a space station. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to let my oxygen replenish a little bit and go ahead and sell some of these. So oxygen plants are worth, are they worth the most? Yeah, they're worth the most, with the exception of hybrid plants, which is of course a combination between fuel and oxygen plants. There we go, 1700. So now I'm going to buy my ship oxygen upgrade. Now last time I tried this it did work, but the previous times it's failed, so all of my money is gone though. But there we go, I have a huge amount of oxygen. Now I can't quite remember whether the space station will fill this all the way up or whether I capped it. I may have capped it. So it stops at 100, so you have to use the oxygen plants. But what you can do, as you can see there, you can now... Oh, what's going on there? Have I found an error? It appears I may have. Let's go and get some more plants. Let's try the oxygen plant, see if that is increasing or whether the cap is causing trouble. So that's why it's really important to do these kind of bigger playthroughs. I feel like when you're making a game, it's very easy to just test features. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that is working. It looks like it's probably an error with the space station, but that's easily remedied. But now, I don't need to visit a space station for a while, because I've got so much oxygen. Of course, unless I want to sell some things. So maybe I want to deliver some plant material just to start ranking up. Almost got enough fuel plant material, so let's start sending that away. Cool. So the oxygen upgrade, it just gives you a little bit more time to think, really. So you don't have to constantly worry about managing the resources as much. I can now focus on collecting plants a little more. Okay, so let's analyze, and I think that's... we need 3 fuel plants, there we go, and I still need to go get some raw plants. So let's use some oxygen. Now let's go collect some raw plants. Always a good opportunity to increase my funds. Okay, raw plant material, we need 5 of those. And there we go, I have ranked up once more, so I'm at rank 6, and now you can see we're starting to get a little more difficult with oxygen plants, fuel plants, and raw plant materials. Later in the game, you also need to deliver hybrid plants, so as you can imagine, it becomes fairly chaotic and difficult to manage, which is the idea. Okay, so I do want to show you the death, the player death. But now that I've upgraded the oxygen, it's more difficult for me to die. Or at least it's going to take a little longer. You know, there's no like direct hazards in this game. For example, combat. You know, there's no combat or aliens that will hurt you. There is only the impending fear of suffocation, which is, you know, if I was Captain Brussels of the Starship Sprout, I'd be pretty worried about dying, given the rate at which my ship appears to leak oxygen, and it does appear that I am about to die. Oh no, look at the shake. I'm very proud of the shake. Okay, here we go. You let Captain Brussels suffocate. Such a bad player. Okay, well, there we go. There we have it. That is Starship Sprout. It's probably going to, I mean, it's going to be released next month. I expect it will be available the middle of November. It's going to be available on the Microsoft PC Store as well as itch.io. If you're interested in staying up to date with Starship Sprout and its release date, go ahead and join my Discord server, link in the description. And why not add Starship Sprout to your collection on itch? It will launch at a price of a sale price of $1.99 on Microsoft Store and $1.50 on itch.io. Generally, the price will sit around $2.99, maybe a little bit cheaper, depending on how nice I'm feeling. Okay, so thanks for watching. Any questions or feedback, just let me know, and I am looking forward to you all playing this game.